Hello. So here's a great example of something that responded to us as children, because of living only once, and maybe being somebody that the creators of the product wanted to get closer to or do something for. My sister, who used this card as a child, she was extremely beautiful. And the very first time that we played this game called Dungeons and Dragons as children, we didn't really know how to play all that well, kind of made up our own rules. And the very first time that we played, she used this playing card that we got out of a dungeon magazine as a character that she fought side by side with that was her husband. This character represented her husband. And this was before she had ever actually had a boyfriend. She was very young. We were at the Springs of Countrywood. And it's really, really funny how this connects to the later character that would be Riverwind. Or if she was to be Gold Moon, because of her plan to create meditation-friendly discs that would be for healing. She wanted to do this for music. This was her idea, and this was what happened when I made this song, Perk Up Those Kitty Ears, that she helped me with. You can hear her voice in that song, Keep Trying, and she does that. While I made this song with her, I was showing her how to make music using Wondershare, which is what I recommend using if you like to make music, especially because of being able to make music videos along with it. It's very simple and easy to understand, easy to use. And as you can see here, this that came from our childhood responded to our living once. It's so perfect and so true to what ended up happening and what she should have been warned about, kind of. Like, we're stuck in fate to some degree, and that's kind of a scary idea. But when looking down, we know what happened, and we know that, who she was into, who she was interested in, who she almost married. The person she almost married was a Native American blood person, and he would synchronize as Riverwind, that character. If I were to be Raceland, because of the vegan thing, because of my friend having the word Kender in her name, and syncing as Tasselhoff Burfoot as the nuisance side of her, while Lorana would have been her more true form. Well, anyways, so Hm-Boye, she's curious at this point of what a boy actually is. She doesn't really know. We must have been how old? Maybe she was around 9 years old or something like that when she was playing. She's a couple years younger than me, and my brother just barely taught us how to play. And so here we are, playing with Hm-Boye, she was pretending that he was her husband. And so you can see here, it describes Hm-Boye. So the letter H means tying the knot, the origins. And the letter M means moving to a better place or to a different camp or location. And then the letter B is, right now, if they were to get married, he would be moving to a different location. He'd be moving to a better location, potentially. He has been living next to where his previous relationship was. And there. Anyways, so boy, the letter E is asking a question, kind of. So it's like, boy? You want to know what a boy is? Boy. And so this is the card that she was married to while we were playing our game. She played the character Red Sonja, was, I believe, who she named herself. Red Sonja, which would represent getting ready to be married, or ready to be married by having red hair, perhaps, since the air element ties in our subconscious mind to marriage, since our ancestors used that element in the pentagram to represent such as reward or marriage for, countless generations. And so here we have Hm-Boye. And then the letter B is warning. The letter O is surrounding, sharing. The letter Y is a line between good and evil. It's a cross or a cross or whatever. And then the letter E is asking a question beyond the origin of thought that's going to come from the next plate of food. Or it could be a prayer in the eyes of somebody else. But that would be a little bit dangerous to just say that it's a prayer. Anyways, so let's look at the traits of Hm-Boye. So he's a 3rd level warrior. And so, 18 tacos? What does that mean? Just kidding. Okay. Alignment, neutral, good. So he's not really good or evil, but he leans toward good. That makes sense. This person did get into trouble. He may have not been the grade A student. He may have been the dropout kind. The equipment, ring of jumping. He may have been jumping into the marriage thing a bit. My sister is very beautiful, loyal, trustworthy. She owned her own home. She still does. So, Hm-Boye, mother's reputation. Hm-Boye's mother reputedly came from Kara Tour. Or Kara Tour. So that would mean handing, caring, heading, cared. And basically gifting for yourself. Is the word tour is like gifting for yourself or somebody that fell back, while the first word is handing is like it reminds me of an Indian putting up his hand or her hand and going, ow. Because the letter K is a hand. The letter A, R-A, would mean together, cared about the direction you're heading. And then in a rough neighborhood near the wharfs. So this guy actually sticks to the rough neighborhoods, where he gets plenty of chances to combine his acrobatic martial arts prowess with natural weapon techniques. He actually is really into weapons. He always likes to, he's a boy, he likes to check out guns and stuff like that. He always, like to have a fancy knife or something like that. He's not a criminal, but the city guards usually try to arrest him on sight. Now that is really funny, and it is so true to what actually happens, because, he looks like a wild, dangerous person, and potentially could be. But he's a very good person, very normal, down to earth, and, we're always going to see a version of ourselves when we see other people, and it's kind of interesting. But I'd like to get him to know him better. Anyways, so I know that he has known some of the same people that I knew that created Kender and stuff like that, which were bad. Nuisance, nuisance, because of using drugs or opiates or something like that. So that's not good. But if you look, so he has a ready headband. It's ready in the hair. And then what are those stars that are out of time stars? Brown. And then he's got a mace. He's holding a morning star. A morning star. He's holding a morning star. Interesting. So he has a son. He has one boy. It was actually the mother of this boy was the first person that I'm aware of that caught on to the birds being intelligent and speaking English as well as people. She claimed that she overheard a conversation outside of people talking about the end of the world and how the people have been bad and maybe they deserve what's coming to them. And then she noticed, she thought that she assumed that it had to have been people because of how well they spoke. And they were talking back and forth, taking turns saying different things, talking about the end of the world. And then she was very surprised when she couldn't find this crowd of people talking, and ended up catching on to how it was the birds. The birds were having a secret meeting. And so that's pretty interesting. And she told people, she said, I swear to you, they were just like people. And it was not, something that they show people, a side of themselves that they show people. She was right. It's very weird. But anyways, Forgotten Realms, how sad that I forgot what happened in those stories. And like Dragonlance, I read like 3 times. But I really would like to read more of them. A part of me really always liked Forgotten Realms more than Dragonlance. And it's just because it was, I don't know, it was very large, very big. It had a lot of things that were, I don't know, like the Underdark, the Drow, I meant to say. When I say Gerard. But yeah, a part of it looks more interesting than Dragonlance because it had more, it seems like. It seems like it had a little bit more. So I wanted to delve into that, but I never did. I would like to do it in the future, though. The Dritz character kind of synchronizes to me a little bit because... And then the scimitars, because I had a girlfriend named Kat and a girlfriend named Anna together, it'd be a katana. And so, but they're half swords on their own. And I made a song called Pen is Sword. But they agreed to it. It's definitely like part of it was them. So they were the other half of the sword, right? So that'd be like having 2 swords. But then having the scimitar or whatever would be like what? Well, the letter S is for a Dead Sea Scroll. It measures what's entering the body. Well, the letter C is taking or packing or going for a journey. It can be bad. So both of those letters together, S and C, is kind of like waking us up or trying to warn us about getting STDs. That's really interesting. What a cool thing. The word Dritz kind of has synchronized in that word. So the letter D is shows as a little bowl in Egypt on the wall. It means passing along the pressure. And the letter R is like a little head on the wall. It means heading. Letter I is like a little feather on the wall. It means justice, balancing, making sure everyone's cared for. And then there are 2 Z's that would represent synchronicity that already happened. And then the letter T represents gifting. So that's really cool. I would definitely want to, look into that more. The only thing that I read regarding Forgotten Realms would be Homeland. And, the Dark Elf trilogy, where how he grew up with his kitty cat. And Guinevere, that cat, I had a black cat, but I don't know. I never thought about the story having anything to do with me. I just read it like a regular person. It was a very wonderful story, but because I read it only once, I don't remember it. The Dragonlance stories I read more than once, so I do remember those. I definitely want to revisit it. I really do love all of that stuff. I'm into all of it. I also like Shadowrun and Star Trek. I really like Star Trek because I can imagine the characters while I'm reading it. It's just easier to picture what's going on. Right now, I am standing over by Enterprise Drive. And I woke up to being synchronized as Will Riker, while this girl I've been dreaming about is Deanna Troi. Where I first saw her for the first time, I probably saw her before that, but where I knew it was actually her, she was on Marina Street, and the actress is named Marina Sturgis. While I was a child, saving myself for a wife or whatever, or an adult, I would always use that in my mind, and which is really weird because of my siblings and what they chose and whose they chose, or the prettiest or whatever. Beverly Crusher with my sister ended up sleeping with a girl that looked like her. Tasha Yar with my brother, and that's really weird because of living once and having the dreams that I've had and everything. They kind of knew. So as far as I know, people weren't aware of this before, but that's not really true. You can find signs that people were aware of this. They explain some of it in Ghostbusters too, how actually bacteria makes it possible, or being hosts for colonies of bacteria. So, pretty cool thing. Well, anyways, definitely looks like our friend, and it described him pretty well. So, Kara Tour, that really describes an Indian. those letters and combining them with an Egyptian definition is really great for describing an Indian, because at the K, like I said, a hand going up and going how, and then tour is like gifting a fur, something like that, which is what our ancestors would have done, because we probably had more seal fur than anything else. Okay, well, there's an example. There's a lot more to look into. Have fun. So let me show you this.